The training hall of the Galactic Academy was alive with noise, laughter, and the humming of alien machines. Human and alien students worked together under the silver glow of the station's artificial sun. Among them was Ethan Hale, the only human in this section, tall, slightly clumsy, and always too curious for his own good. Across the room, Zyra, a young alien cadet from the planet Velara, watched him with her bright golden eyes. Her skin shimmered with faint blue light, markings that danced whenever she laughed. She was strong, confident, and known for her playful attitude. Ethan, on the other hand, was still getting used to alien customs, especially Zyra's sense of humor. They were partners for a new experiment, testing the limits of human reflexes against alien energy responses. It sounded simple, but nothing at the Academy ever stayed simple for long. "Ready, human?" Zyra teased, her voice carrying that musical tone her species had. Ethan grinned. "Always ready. Just don't bite me if I win." The others laughed. Zyra smirked, a challenge in her eyes. Moments later, they started sparring in the energy ring. The floor lit up beneath them, creating a circle of moving lights. Ethan dodged her quick strikes and tried to match her speed. He was doing well, until Zyra lunged forward faster than he could react. They stumbled, fell, and in the rush of adrenaline and laughter, she playfully leaned down and gave his shoulder a small, teasing bite. "Ouch," Ethan yelped. "You actually bit me!" The students burst out laughing. Even Zyra giggled. But the laughter died almost instantly. Her eyes widened. The markings on her arms flared bright white, glowing stronger than anyone had ever seen. The lights on the training floor flickered. The sensors began to beep wildly, showing strange readings. Zyra backed away, her breathing quick and shallow. "No, that can't be." Ethan looked at her in confusion. "What's wrong?" "It was just a bite." But Zyra didn't answer. Her skin shimmered and a faint pulse of light connected her to him for a split second, like an invisible thread of energy. The hum of the machines deepened, echoing through the walls. The instructor, a tall insectoid alien, rushed forward, shouting orders. "Everyone step back." "The readings are unstable." Ethan's shoulder burned. He glanced down and froze. Faint glowing lines, the same as Zyra's markings, were spreading slowly beneath his skin. "What's happening to me?" he whispered. Zyra's voice trembled. "It's not supposed to happen. Not with a human." In her world, biting was a small act of bonding, a sign of trust or friendship. But there were old legends among her kind, stories of a soul mark that could appear when two life forces connected in perfect harmony. It was rare even among her own people. Impossible, they said, with a human, and yet it had just happened. Ethan stumbled as another surge of energy pulsed through the air. Lights cracked. The entire training bay went dark for a moment, and when the emergency lights came back on, every display showed the same warning. Bioenergy anomaly detected. The instructors tried to separate them, but the closer they got, the stronger the readings became. It was as if their bodies were linked by something neither science nor logic could explain. Zyra met Ethan's gaze. For the first time, the fearless alien girl looked afraid. "This isn't a joke anymore," she whispered. "You and we're connected now." Ethan tried to smile, but his heart was pounding too fast. "Connected? Like friends?" Zyra shook her head slowly. "No, much deeper. Something ancient has awakened between us." Outside the window, the stars shimmered, and far away, unknown sensors across the galaxy began to register the same strange pulse that started from one small training room, all from one playful bite. And neither of them realized that this single moment had already changed the fate of two species forever. Ethan woke to the low hum of the ship's life support systems. The room was dim, the soft glow of alien technology pulsing along the walls like veins of light. His head ached and his shoulder burned where Zyra had bitten him. He groaned and sat up slowly. His reflection in the metallic wall caught his attention, and his breath froze. Strange blue lines ran beneath his skin, glowing faintly, tracing patterns from his shoulder down his arm. They looked almost alive, moving slightly like rivers of light. "What the hell?" he whispered. The door hissed open. Zyra stood there, pale and silent, her golden eyes wide. Her markings were brighter too, pulsing in sync with the lines on Ethan's arm. Neither spoke for a moment. The air between them buzzed faintly like static electricity. Finally, Ethan said, "Zyra, what did you do to me?" "I don't know," she said softly, stepping closer. I felt something when I bit you, a spark, but this shouldn't be possible. As she moved closer, the lights around the room brightened. The machines beeped faster, reacting to their presence. Ethan backed away. The lights dimmed again. Zira frowned. It's responding to us. Us? He repeated. You mean this freaky glow thing? She hesitated, then nodded. Among my kind, this glow means life bond. It links two beings together through energy and instinct, but it's supposed to happen only between my species, never with a human. Ethan rubbed his temples. So you're saying I've been energy married by accident? Zira gave a nervous laugh, though her eyes were filled with worry. Something like that. Before they could say more, the door slid open again. Dr. Varn, the Academy's chief medical officer, entered, holding a scanning device. He was a tall, thin alien with translucent skin and mechanical lenses for eyes. He scanned Ethan silently. The device beeped and flickered red. Impossible, Varn muttered. Your DNA is changing. The bond isn't fading. It's growing stronger. Ethan's heart pounded. Changing? You mean I'm turning into one of you? Not quite, Varn replied. But your cells are adapting, trying to balance Zira's energy signature. This is no ordinary reaction. It's a fusion. Zira stepped closer, alarmed. But if it keeps growing, then both of you could lose control, Varn interrupted. Your life forces will sink completely. If one of you dies, so will the other. The words hit Ethan like a punch. You're kidding. The doctor didn't smile. I never kid. The lights flickered again. Machines around them began to glitch, screens flashing, wires sparking. Ethan felt something tug inside his chest, pulling toward Zira. She gasped and reached for him. The pull vanished the moment their hands touched. It was like a switch. Together they were stable. Apart. Chaos. Dr. Varn watched, fascinated and terrified. You must stay close until we understand this bond, he said. If the Academy discovers this, they'll isolate you both for study. Or worse. Ethan glanced at Zira. So what do we do now? Zira's voice was quiet but steady. We stay together, no matter what. For the rest of the day, they tried to act normal, but strange things kept happening. Whenever Ethan focused too hard, lights flickered. When Zira laughed, he could feel warmth in his chest that wasn't his own. When she got angry, he felt it too, sharp and wild. Late that night, as they sat in silence by the window overlooking the stars, Ethan asked softly, Can you feel it too? Zira nodded. Everything you feel. Every heartbeat. Every breath. He looked down at his glowing arm. It's like you're part of me. She smiled faintly. Maybe I am. Outside, the galaxy shimmered, unaware that deep inside one Academy dorm, two beings from different worlds had just created something new. Something alive. Something powerful. And somewhere in the void beyond the stars, ancient systems began to wake. Reacting to a connection that had been dormant for centuries, the bond had only begun, and the universe was already listening. The Galactic Academy didn't sleep. Even during the artificial night cycle, its corridors hummed with low lights and soft mechanical sounds. But that night something felt different. Cameras glitched. Power lines flickered. Unseen eyes were watching. Dr. Varn sat alone in his laboratory, staring at the data screens showing Ethan and Zira's energy readings. The graphs pulsed like twin heartbeats, one blue, one gold, perfectly in sync. He had never seen anything like it. Every time they touched, the readings spiked beyond known limits. Every time they were apart, both signals weakened dangerously. This isn't just a bond, he whispered. It's evolution. He pressed a few keys, opening restricted files marked classified. Level Omega. Inside were records from more than a century ago, a project called Pulse of Origin. The file mentioned a similar human-alien connection that had caused a massive energy surge, one powerful enough to disable an entire fleet. The report ended abruptly. The project was buried, erased from history. Varn's mechanical lenses whirred as he leaned closer. So it happened before, he muttered, and they silenced it. He glanced at the monitor again. Ethan and Zira were sitting together in the observation room, laughing softly, unaware of what they had become. Varn felt a cold shiver of fear and excitement. He had to tell someone. In the observation room, Ethan tried to keep things light. So let me get this straight, he said. tapping his glowing arm. We can't be more than 10 feet apart or the station throws a tantrum. Zira nodded. That's one way to put it. We're connected in the core. The energy between us tries to balance. If one pulls away, the other feels pain. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Sounds like a terrible long-distance relationship. Zira laughed. That melodic sound that always softened the air. Except this one might destroy the ship if we argue. Their laughter faded when the door opened. 2 security officers entered. Their armor gleamed silver and their expressions were cold. Cadet Zira, human Ethan Hale, one said sharply. You're to report to the science wing immediately. Ethan frowned. Why, what did we do? No questions, move. Zira tensed. The lights around her dimmed slightly, responding to her rising anxiety. Ethan could feel it, like pressure in his chest. He touched her arm gently, and the energy between them steadied. The guards led them through silent corridors to the high-security lab. Dr. Varn was waiting, surrounded by holographic projections of their data. His expression was unreadable. I've been studying your readings, he began, and what I've found changes everything we know about biological energy. He turned to a screen showing a map of the galaxy. A glowing pulse expanded from the Academy's location, spreading outward in waves. This signal, your signal, has reached multiple systems already. Whatever links you two isn't local. It's spreading. Ethan stepped back. Spreading? You mean people out there can feel it? Machines, sensors, even ancient satellites are reacting, Varn said. Your bond is waking something that hasn't stirred in centuries. Zira's voice trembled. You mean the pulse of origin? Varn froze. You know that name? It's a myth, she said. A story told to scare children. The pulse was said to destroy worlds. The doctor's lenses dimmed. Not myth, history. Before he could explain more, alarms blared through the station. Red lights flashed. The ground shook. A robotic voice echoed. Unidentified energy surge detected. Source experiment chamber 3. Varn's eyes widened. That's you. You're destabilizing. Ethan's vision blurred as energy flared between him and Zira. The floor cracked beneath their feet, glowing with the same blue-gold light. The guards rushed forward but were thrown back by an invisible shockwave. Zira! Ethan shouted, trying to steady himself. I can't control it, she cried. Her markings burned bright. The air shimmered. Machines sparked. Then, silence. When the smoke cleared, the room was in ruins. The guards were unconscious. Dr. Varn stood frozen, staring at the devastation. In the center stood Ethan and Zira, still holding hands, surrounded by a faint sphere of energy. Their eyes glowed faintly, heartbeat in unison. Zira whispered, They'll come for us now. Ethan nodded grimly. Then we better run before they decide to find out what else we can do. And somewhere beyond the station, far out in the void, ancient systems flickered back to life, recognizing the pulse once more. The connection had been made, and danger was already on its way. The Galactic Academy had turned into a war zone. Red lights flashed through every corridor. Sirens wailed. Drones swarmed the hallways like metal wasps scanning for movement. The once peaceful place of learning now hunted 2 fugitives. One human, one alien, bound by something the galaxy had long tried to forget. Ethan ran beside Zira, their boots echoing against the steel floors. Smoke and sparks filled the air as energy barriers dropped behind them, blocking every exit. They sealed the hangar, Ethan shouted, panting. Zira tapped a glowing control panel with trembling hands. Not all of them. There's a maintenance dock in the lower sector, unguarded if we're lucky. Ethan grinned breathlessly. We've never been lucky. Zira's golden eyes flicked toward him, a faint smile despite the chaos. Then maybe today's the first time. They turned a corner, and froze. 2 armored guards stood ahead, weapons raised. Stop right there. You're under containment order. Zira stepped in front of Ethan. Her markings flared bright white and the air between them rippled with energy. Before the guards could fire, a blast of invisible force erupted outward, sending them flying into the walls. Ethan blinked. You did that? Zira stared at her hands, shocked. No, we did. The bond had grown stronger. Each surge of fear or pain amplified their power. Every heartbeat they shared made the energy more unstable and more unstoppable. Dr. Varn watched from a security room, his metallic eyes reflecting the chase. They'll destroy the station if they're cornered, he whispered. Or worse, if they're captured. He opened a private channel to the command unit. Do not kill them, he ordered. Bring them to me alive. The council must not know before I confirm it. But deep down, even he wasn't sure he could control what he had unleashed. Zira and Ethan burst through the next door and stumbled into a narrow cargo tunnel. The floor trembled beneath their feet. The academy was going into lockdown. Metal shutters slammed down one after another, trapping them in a maze of steel. Ethan pressed his hand against a locked door. No way through. Let me try, Zira said. She placed her palm next to his, and the metal glowed where their hands met. The door creaked, then melted open like wax under heat. Ethan stared. Okay, that's officially cool, Zira smirked. Don't get used to it. It's dangerous to push the bond. They stepped inside a storage bay filled with old ship parts and damaged hover crates. The smell of fuel and ion dust filled the air. Somewhere above, boots clanged. Soldiers closing in. We have minutes, Ethan said. Maybe less. Zira nodded and ran toward a small ship under a tarp. Its hull was scratched, but the engines hummed faintly. This one still works, she said. A scavenger skiff. Fast, small. Easy to miss on scanners. Ethan helped her power it up. The cockpit flickered to life with alien symbols. He couldn't read any of them, but Zira's fingers danced over the controls like she'd been born to fly it. The hangar doors began to open. Then sirens blared again. A deep voice echoed over the speakers. Unauthorized launch detected. Sector 7 lockdown engaged. Too late, Ethan muttered. They're onto us. Zira gritted her teeth. Hold on, she slammed a lever forward. The ship roared, lifting off with a violent jolt. Plasma fire exploded around them as drones fired from every direction. Ethan grabbed the seat handles, heart pounding. Remind me, he yelled over the noise. Why are we doing this again? Because, Zira shouted back, eyes blazing. If they catch us, we'll never be free again. The skiff shot through the closing hangar doors, scraping sparks as it squeezed out into the starry void. Behind them, the academy faded into a swirl of lights and alarms. For a moment, everything was quiet. Just the hum of the engines and the endless galaxy ahead. Ethan leaned back, exhaling. We made it. Zira looked at him, her voice soft. For now. But the pulse has awakened. Every sensor in this quadrant felt it. Ethan frowned. Meaning? She stared out into the stars, the reflection of nebula light dancing in her eyes, meaning the universe knows we exist now. And far beyond the reach of the academy, in the ruins of forgotten worlds, ancient machines began to stir, responding to the same energy signature that now pulsed. Between two hearts, the escape was only the beginning. The hunt had just begun. The scavenger skiff drifted silently through deep space. Outside the window, stars burned like frozen fire, and shattered moons glowed in the distance. Inside the small cabin, Ethan and Zira sat together. The hum of the engines, the only sound between them. They hadn't spoken in hours. Zira's golden eyes were fixed on the navigation screen, guiding them toward a forgotten moon in the outer rim. Ethan leaned back, staring at the blue veins glowing faintly on his arm. Every few seconds, the markings pulsed, in perfect rhythm with Zira's. Finally, Ethan broke the silence. So you're going to tell me what's really happening, right? Zira hesitated, then sighed. I didn't want to believe it, but it's true. The pulse, it's not just a story. It's real. And we've awakened it. Ethan frowned. You keep saying that. What is it exactly? Some kind of alien weapon? She turned to him slowly. Not a weapon. A creation force. The pulse of origin was made when humans and my ancestors first worked together. It connected minds, shared thoughts, emotions, and even life itself. It made both species stronger, but then something went wrong. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Fear. Ethan leaned closer. Fear of what? Fear of each other, Zira said. Your people thought the pulse was control. My people thought it was corruption. So they destroyed it, erased all records, separated our species forever. Ethan looked out at the stars. And now it's back. Because of us, Zira nodded. Our bond reactivated the core pattern. The pulse was never fully gone. It was waiting for connection strong enough to awaken it again. Hours later, their ship descended toward the moon Zira had marked on the star map. The surface was covered in metallic dust and ancient ruins that glowed faintly beneath the darkness. This place, Ethan whispered as they stepped out. What is it? Zira's voice echoed softly. The Archive of Kerith. It's older than the Academy, older than our empires. The first Guardians of the Pulse built it to hide the truth. They walked through long tunnels filled with strange symbols. The walls seemed to hum softly as they passed. Ethan reached out and touched one of the carvings, and the ground trembled. A faint light spread through the floor, leading them deeper inside. At the heart of the ruin stood a circular chamber. Floating in the center was a crystal sphere, pulsing with blue and gold light, the same colors as their bond. Ethan stared in awe. That thing, it's alive, Zira nodded. It's the heart of the pulse, the memory of what once was. As they approached, the sphere reacted. It shimmered brighter, releasing holographic images. Ancient humans and Velarans working side by side, sharing ideas, healing worlds. Then the images turned dark. War, betrayal, destruction. Zira's face softened. So it's true. They feared each other and destroyed everything they built. Ethan clenched his fists. We're repeating their mistakes, aren't we? Not yet, Zira said. The pulse gives us a second chance, if we can control it. Before Ethan could answer, the crystal flashed violently. A deep voice echoed around them, ancient and mechanical. Pulse signature detected. Human and Velaran bond confirmed. Activation protocol initiated. The ground shook. Energy surged through the walls and holographic runes lit up across the chamber. Ethan stumbled as power surged through his body. His arm blazed with light. Zira! He gasped. She reached for him, her own markings glowing fiercely. Don't fight it! Let it guide you. The energy pulled them both into the air. Memories that weren't theirs flooded their minds. Images of galaxies forming. Planets blooming with life, two races united by trust and love. When the light faded, they collapsed to the floor, breathing hard. Ethan blinked slowly. I saw everything. The beginning of the galaxy. Humans and your people together. It's all connected. Zira's voice trembled with emotion. The pulse doesn't just create power. It connects hearts. It was meant to make both species one. Ethan stared at her. Then why does it feel like it's also preparing for war? Zira looked away, her eyes full of fear. Because something else woke up with it. Far above the moon, deep in the black of space, old satellites and dead warships began to stir. Their systems flickering back to life, all reacting to the same energy signal. And from somewhere beyond the stars, a voice whispered through the cosmic static. The pulse returns. And so does the enemy that ended it. The secret had been found, but the danger was only just beginning. The storm of light from the heart of the pulse faded, leaving the chamber in silence. Dust floated in the air like glowing ash. Ethan and Zira lay on the cold metallic floor, breathing hard. Their hands were still locked together, the connection between them pulsing faintly like two hearts sharing one beat. Ethan opened his eyes first. You alive? Zira smiled weakly. Barely. They sat up slowly. Around them, the ruins still hummed with energy. Strange alien symbols floated mid-air, rearranging themselves like they were writing a message only the two of them could see. Zira reached out and touched the nearest glyph. It flared gold and projected a holographic map. Hundreds of glowing points scattered across the galaxy. Ethan frowned. What is that? The pulse network, Zira whispered. Each point is a sleeping conduit. If all of them wake up at once. Ethan finished the sentence quietly. The galaxy changes forever. But before they could say more, a loud metallic echo cut through the silence. They turned and froze. Dr. Varn stepped into the chamber, flanked by two armored soldiers. His mechanical eyes glowed crimson, his voice calm but cold. I knew you'd come here, he said. The pulse always leads to the same place. Ethan stood, angry and confused. You followed us? Varn smiled faintly. You didn't make it hard. Every sensor in this quadrant has been screaming your names for hours. The energy spike from your bond is visible from light years away. Zira stepped in front of Ethan, defensive. You said you wanted to help us. I did, Varn replied. But help isn't the same as letting you destroy everything my people built. You two don't understand the power you're holding. You're unstable, dangerous, Ethan clenched his fists. You just want to use us. Varn's tone hardened. Someone has to. The pulse isn't a miracle. It's a weapon disguised as hope. Your link could power fleets, control minds, reshape matter itself. Do you think the galaxy will just let that exist? He gestured to the soldiers. Take them. The soldier stepped forward. Zyra's markings flared as she raised her hand, energy rippling out, knocking them back. But before she could unleash another wave, Varn activated a device on his wrist. A sharp electric pulse exploded through the air. Zyra screamed as her body seized. Ethan dropped beside her, his skin burning with blue light. The bond flared violently, sparks flying from the ground. Varn watched in fascination. Amazing. Even in pain, the link fights separation. Ethan gritted his teeth, forcing himself upright. You're hurting her! Varn's voice was cold. No, human. I'm saving the galaxy from you. Ethan lunged at him, but before he could reach the doctor, the soldiers struck him with a shock baton. Pain shot through his body. The room dimmed and everything went black. When Ethan woke, his head was pounding. He was in a containment chamber, glass walls glowing with blue energy. Across from him, Zyra was trapped in another cell, unconscious. He pressed his hand against the glass. Zyra, please wake up, her eyelids fluttered. Slowly, she lifted her head, eyes full of pain. Ethan, I can feel you. But it's fading. Ethan's chest tightened. They're blocking our bond. Dr. Varn appeared on the intercom screen above them. The connection between you is being extracted. Once separated, we can study it safely. You'll both survive, maybe. Ethan slammed his fist against the glass. You don't understand what you're doing. Varn's eyes gleamed. On the contrary, human. For the first time in history, I do. Zyra's glow dimmed. Ethan could feel her heartbeat weakening through the fading link. Panic filled him. Zyra, stay with me. Her lips moved faintly. I'm sorry, Ethan. If this is the end, no, he shouted. It's not. The bond inside him ignited. The markings on his arm blazed like fire. The containment field flickered. Sparks flew across the room. Varn stared at the readings in shock. Impossible. He's forcing a relink through suppression barriers. The glass shattered. Energy burst from Ethan like a storm, slamming into every wall. Zyra gasped as her own markings reignited, the light spreading back across her body. The two of them met in the center of the room. Their hands clasping once more, Ethan whispered, voice trembling but fierce. I'd rather burn with you than live without you. The explosion of light that followed tore through the lab, disintegrating every machine. When the smoke cleared, the room was empty. Only scorched markings remained on the floor, glowing faintly in blue and gold. Varn stood at the doorway, eyes wide with horror and awe. The pulse has chosen. The lab was gone. The academy are gone. Only light remained. Endless, blinding light. Ethan felt weightless, drifting in a sea of color. He couldn't tell where his body ended or where Zyra's began. Around them, stars flickered like distant candles, and fragments of machines floated, melting away into golden dust. He looked down at his hand. It glowed with the same energy that had always connected them. Across from him, Zyra floated, her eyes bright with wonder and fear. Where are we? Ethan whispered. In between, she replied softly. Between space, between life, the pulse. It wasn't just energy. It was consciousness. The very fabric of creation hummed around them, whispering in voices older than time. Images flickered through their minds. Memories of galaxies forming, of civilizations rising, of two ancient races building the first bridge between stars. And then, of their fall, Ethan clenched his fists. So this is what the pulse really is. The memory of everything, Zyra nodded slowly. It's the universe remembering itself. But it's unstable now because of us. They could both feel it. The pulse was tearing itself apart. Energy storms swirled in the distance, devouring the light. Every heartbeat they shared made the chaos worse, yet also stronger. It was as if the galaxy couldn't decide whether to destroy them or worship them. Zyra floated closer. Dr. Varn was wrong, she said softly. This was never a weapon. It's a choice. Ethan looked at her confused. A choice? To merge or to end it, she said. If we merge completely, we can stabilize the pulse. Every system, every world will feel its light again. The galaxy will heal, but... He finished her sentence quietly. We won't exist anymore. Zyra smiled sadly. Not as we are. We'll become something else, some energy, memory. Maybe part of the stars themselves. Ethan's throat tightened. There has to be another way. There isn't, she said gently. Look around you, he turned. The storms were growing, swallowing pieces of the pulse's realm. Entire constellations flickered and vanished. The connection that had started as a playful bite was now the only thing holding reality together. Ethan floated closer until his forehead touched hers. The glow between them softened, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. "I was just a human engineer," he murmured. "You were a brilliant alien cadet. We were never supposed to meet, and now we're holding the universe together with our hearts." Zaira laughed softly through tears. "That's one way to make history." They shared a small smile, the kind that only two souls on the edge of eternity could understand. Ethan took a deep breath. "If we do this, what happens to everyone else?" "They live," Zaira said. "They'll feel the bond, not just between us, but between all life. The pulse will remember the truth. That connection is stronger than fear." Ethan looked into her golden eyes. "Then let's give it that memory." She reached out her hand. He took it without hesitation. The moment their fingers touched, the universe exploded into color. The pulse surged around them, blue, gold, white, merging their energies into one. Every star, every planet, every mind across the galaxy felt a sudden warmth, like a heartbeat echoing through time. On distant worlds, alien children looked up at the sky, seeing lights dance across the heavens. Machines that had slept for centuries hummed alive. Even the broken ruins of the academy shone as the pulse passed through them, gentle and forgiving. Dr. Varn, watching from the wreckage of his ship, whispered in awe, "They did it. They actually did it." Inside the storm of light, Ethan and Zira's bodies dissolved, replaced by radiant silhouettes.